on YouTube. Live on YouTube. And you're live. Go ahead.
Thank you. This is the May 3rd, 2021 Utility Committee meeting. Call it to order. Can we get an approval of the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. You all had time to look over the notes from last meeting. I wasn't here, so I don't know if these were right or not. Get a motion for approval.
I move to approve the last meeting notes as presented.
Any second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes two. Okay, Eric, or is Ashley on the phone?
No, Ashley is out today. Yeah, so I don't have the specifics on the sewer audit, but Kathy Richardson with the Forestry Department did help send out the last round of our packet of letters for the sewer audit on Friday. So that process is moving forward with this next round of connections. And the next map that she produces, she did start separating it out by fiscal year, so that data will be available at the next meeting. For the water audit, I printed off the report for everyone, and then hopefully Joe has it digitally, but I did send it to everyone in an email with our audit report information. So again, the non-revenue water value continues to drop as the impact of the water right leases has less on the value of water. We did have a slight bump up in water sales, water production, but also non-revenue water. And you can see that on the very last table. There is actually a pretty substantial increase in non-revenue water. And I didn't know if Adam, did you guys have a prevalence of leaks in March?
We did have some leaks, I think, but we also had a couple structure fires that could have pertained to. I got the values on that one, those also for you.
Adam, what's all that water seeping out of Swiss Chalet coming down the hill?
That's a spring from the rocks there. Ever since they blasted that when they were building the highway, it's been there. On the road and the cracks coming out there, you're talking about, yeah, it's a spring coming up there.
That's been like that for quite some time, or?
Yeah, ever since they built the highway, it's been there. There's a lot of water on that line there. A lot of pressure.
Where's the infrastructure in that area?
It's actually towards the bar ditch, and the bar ditch there on the east side of the road.
That's where the water line is at?
Yes, sir.
It just seems to me like it's increased quite a bit this year.
Mm-hmm. I've noticed that. We've been up there, look at it, and I've looked at it because, like you said, it's increased and as dry as it's been, but the rains seems to be like anytime we get any kind of moisture, it comes out a little bit more. But we can go look at it some more if you like.
Run a residue test and they ran a test on the water and everything up there?
Oh, yeah. We've run tests. Almost every year we've run tests on that thing because we get people calling in.
And Tim, with John being out, I haven't been able to proceed yet with the leak detection procurement, but I'm hoping that when he gets back, we'll be able to get that started right away. If he's out for an extended period, I'll work with Karen directly and we'll get the procurement out. Any questions about the water audit?
And one of the things that I didn't see on here, Eric, is I know that company came in and tested the meters, and it kind of ties in with this water audit. How did we come out on that?
I don't have the reports yet, but yeah, we did have Mountain Pacific Meter came out and tested our water production meters. And then also, this is the first time that we did testing of our large meters, customer demand side meters. So we're making steps to start solidifying that program for testing demand side meters. Hopefully this next fiscal year, we'll be able to start getting into testing a percentage of the residential meters. And I do have that money available in the proposed budget. But there wasn't any meter that seemed so off that they mentioned. Normally, Matt will tell me if he finds a meter that's really.
And I was asking, the reason I'm asking is I talked to Jody when he was out there, helping him out and, how it went. And he said that the one that he was really wanting to see is the big meter at Crown Point. And he said that one was within a gallon on the high flow. So that actually worked out pretty good on that meter.
Yeah. And I think that we'll see that I'm hoping that these Badger meters hold up a lot better than the previous meters. It seems like any of the Badger meters that we've tested with the flow through, because Randy has a handful of Badger meters in his system, but whenever we do the flow through testing, it seems like they're just spot on, like 100% accuracy. So for asset management, and if you don't mind, I'll just combine it with the risk and resiliency assessment. I just had a brief meeting with the Southwest Environmental Finance Center. Right now, they're working on the asset valuation component, which is tied into both of the asset management program and our risk and resilience assessment. So they finished a substantial amount of our assets, determining their value for replacement, and they're going to start sending that data to us. Ashley sent out a series of work orders to water production, and Randy, I believe they're all done now, but they were just some quick survey information that was needed on some pump sizes and other pipe sizes. So I appreciate water production getting that done. But with Ashley out, I've had to pick up we had a ticket submitted to Systems MD. There was some complication with the ArcGIS installation in the server, and we need to get it updated to the appropriate version to do, it's called Utility Network. It's a extension of ArcGIS, and that's how we're going to be managing our geodatabase. But the Utility Network, it's a special program in ArcGIS that will allow you to look at how waters flow through the system. And so it will provide a mechanism that you could, shut off a valve and it would show what areas are impacted. And that way it's kind of that next step for us to be able to show or have a public map on our website that shows when we have water outages, where those outages are at. So I'm picking that up and trying to see where we're at with Systems MD. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Eric, is there a deadline on that risk and resiliency plan?
So the assessment deadline is June 30th. So with the valuation data coming in, we should be on track to get that assessment completed by then.
Okay, good.
And then the next step after that is to do the emergency plan, and that's where you actually develop the infrastructure and programmatic changes to the system. And so then that is due 6 months after the certification, regardless of when you finish the assessment. It triggers 6 months right after that.
Eric, I know we started, last week in my office, we started talking about the rate study that was being conducted by the Environment Department. Did you look more at it and see where we're at with that, or where that ended up?
No, I did not. I should have asked when I was there with the people that were doing it, the Southwest Environmental Finance Center. I can check that before tomorrow's meeting, though, the workshop meeting.
All right, well, I guess we'll go to the Alto Reservoir improvement part.
So I had to extend the bid date for the pressure test by 2 weeks. And so right now we've got the bids due by the close of business this Thursday. And so hopefully we'll be able to move forward with that assessment of those old water lines. But my goal is to see if we can't try to get that line back in service before winter, but it's going to get kind of tight depending on material delays and the engineering process.
All right, and where are we at on the underground storage recovery?
So I talked to Roger Peary. He said that he's got the NMED application all done, and they're working on the Office of the State Engineer component. But we had a letter that was received from the Office of the State Engineer with some concerns that they wanted to address before we got into the permitting process. And so we've got a meeting scheduled with the District 2 office staff and then somebody from their statewide program office to try to resolve these issues beforehand. Basically, we're trying to resolve potential for flow conditions and then issues with return flow. And then they also want us to present a proposal of the potential accounting process, just because, this is going to add a fair amount of complexity to our water rights accounting, and it's already a really complex process. So they're just trying to make sure that this process is as smooth as possible. So we're going to sit down with them and try to hash out as much details as we can before the pre-application meeting.
What's their attitude toward this project being? Do they think it's a good thing?
I'm not sure yet. I do know from a statewide level that, underground storage and recovery is something that's, being promoted. It's one of their priority items for funding from the Water Trust Board. But it is definitely an uphill battle in the permitting process. And I think that the state is just doing their due diligence right now just to make sure that, we don't get into, just the permit process for this might end up costing us $20,000 just to apply for the state for the permit. So I think that they're just doing their due diligence to make sure that we don't end up paying the fee and then have the project, fail right then and there. So I still get the feeling that there's positivity about it.
Okay, and your Midtown and Winfield Park drainage.
So we've got the price proposal from Riverbend Engineering to finish the design on that and take it through construction. But right now, we're just waiting to see what the final price is for the Horton Complex. Because depending on the price for that improvement project, we could get that project started right away. Otherwise, we'll have to wait for the next fiscal year to start.
All right, Adam.
RGU shop building. We did receive the 100% design from Wilson the 23rd of April. We were trying to keep this project moving forward, trying to figure out which way we're going to go with procurement, whether we're going to go through CES or go out for IFB. So Karen and I have been working on that actually this morning also. And we had asked the Wilson to send us a list of contractors through CES so we could kind of wean out that way. Because we know more than likely it's going to be a little higher price through CES, but actually getting somebody on board and then keeping the material locked down as far as prices, I think that's going to be a kind of a wishy-washy way to go to. Because if we go out for IFB and prices do go up, it's gonna come back on us.
Well, yeah, it's just the way of the world these days.
Yep.
Hey, Randy, the projects.
Okay. Sauter Miller completed the dam survey and went through all the data and looked at it. And then I submitted it to James Head. And Ye and Associates is working on completing the 100%. And we should have that in hand sometime either this week or the beginning of next week. Krish and I had a meeting last week and went over a bunch of questions that he had. So I think we got everything solved. And they should get that to us. Once they send that to me, I'll send it to James Head. And I've been working with James on sending him a bunch of information that he needed. So we've been working pretty good together, knock on wood. And
You better find some road.
really. And
You can knock on my head with.
the other thing is we're having our big dam inspection for the Grindstone Dam and the Alto the week of the 17th, which he's going to let me know what date for sure, but we're looking at either the 18th or 19th. And so we're going through all of the results from the last inspection, and I'm working with the guys. We're trying to cover everything and make sure we have everything ready to go. So say a little prayer for us. But I mean, we should be a good one. So that's pretty much I have on the dam project.
And you're a guy down these days too, aren't you?
Yeah, we interviewed a guy for the chief plant operator position, so we're moving along on that.
Where's he from?
Well, it's actually in-house.
Oh, in the house.
Yep. So he's a pretty good candidate. He's probably the one that might fill it. I mean, he's got a lot of good qualities and he learns real well and he helps me out a lot. So
Well, that's good, except you'll still be a man.
yeah, and then we'll still have to find another operator, but we got some ideas. So
All right, hazard mitigation and stabilization for sewer lines.
Good afternoon. We have received all the red line documents from Mosequine, or actually I should say High Water Mark has received them. They're reviewing them and we are working on setting up the date for this week. Do wet documents or which items or easements need to go back to the village manager for possible adjustments to their offers. So we wanted to consolidate all of those at one time and then take a package to management to review and come up with a game plan to move forward. So we're on the final stretch of those, as far as going back out and making contact.
All right, well, thanks.
I think that was only half a report, because you only heard every other word.
Are you guys having a hard time hearing me?
Yeah, you're breaking up like every other word, Karen.
Oh, let me move this one second.
I think we still understood what you said.
Okay, good deal.
Is that scary? All right, the stormwater management at Horton.
So we're just still waiting for that bid process, but all the stormwater documents have been submitted to White Sands Construction.
And your Eagle Creek and Gavilan well field design?
So Casey Cook is going to be taking over that project. The engineer that did the primary design, Micah, is leaving Moles and Corbin for, I don't remember what the company is, but it's CH2M Hill, but they got purchased by a big company. And so Casey Cook is going to be the, help us through the construction phase of this project. So we've got an addendum that we're preparing, that's going to be issued this Wednesday. We got the, so for the Water Trust Board funding, we got the confirmation that the TTHM violation is now completely dealt with. So with our sampling that Randy did in the first week of April, we got a good TTHM reading at that cattle barren site. And so we've fulfilled our obligation for compliance for the Water Trust Board. And they're going to be doing their, from my understanding, I think it's on the 15th of this month, they are having their meeting to do the official vote on the projects. And so with that, we would have the official award. And then from that point, the funds that we expend would be eligible for reimbursement, although we probably would not get funds until October. But at least then we know anything we spend will get reimbursed. So we should, so we're on track with that project to do a contract award to the low bid in the June regular council meeting.
All right, Karen, the lift stations and force mains.
Okay, lift stations, that was taken to the JUB and on the 21st of April. We got Smithco on that project. My emails are bouncing back right now, so I haven't gotten confirmation from the engineer as to when if all the bonding and insurance has been provided so we can set up the pre. That's where we're at on that. As soon as we get confirmation that everything's been received, we'll go ahead and schedule a pre-con meeting for Smithco.
Yeah, now, are we giving them some ramp-up time on that to get materials?
Well, they actually provided that to Adam. What was the? Yeah, actually, you're right. We gave them a 90-day ramp-up period.
Okay.
One of the things that Jerry from Moles and Corbin had brought up this last time is, we're in the bid docs, we gave him the 90-day ramp-up time. So he was waiting for a confirmed date for them to actually say they were going to start, whether it was 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. If they chose the 30 days, they don't get the rest of the 60 days. That's what they chose. So, we're waiting on
Well, they're gonna have to figure the materials out, that's what that was.
and that's where that ramp-up time came from.
30 days would be better.
It would be better.
All right, Randy, the Alto Crest Treatment Plant.
Okay, work completed since the last pay app. They completed painting of the soffit. They demoed train number 1, and that's quite a process, but they brought in a couple crews and they knocked it out pretty quick. The work in progress is the HVAC installation, bathroom renovations, indoor ferric sulfate chemical pump. They're working on that. Plumbing in the bathroom and the chlorine room. And garage firewall installation. They're painting that as we speak. And electrical, they're working on train number 1. We had an issue with the flocculator motors on filter number 2. They've been getting real warm and they trip out every now and then. So West Tech will be here in the morning to solve that problem. They thinking it's something in the gear ratio, but we'll be out there in the morning to look at that to make sure that's taken care of. And the only thing they're waiting on for filter 1 is the media, the sand media. But as far as putting the filter back together, they've got most of it already done. These guys are pretty quick. And then they're working on painting the interior. And then so the 30-day look ahead is the start up a train or filter number 1. Once we get that running and everything's cool and copacetic, then probably a week to 10 days later, they'll start demoing train or filter number 3. And then they'll be working on the chemical building, chlorine equipment. Then they'll be working on the raw water intake header. That's going to be a good little project. But other than that, project's moving along pretty quick. And they're making great progress.
You may have talked about it last meeting when I wasn't here, but how did we come out on those? It was the VFDs that got wet?
Yeah. So what happened is VFD number 1 was the only one that was fried. So they actually did a quick order on that VFD and they had it overnighted. So that was installed and programmed. And then what they did is they left VFD number 2 and 3, let it dry for the whole weekend. And then we fired it up, had somebody inspect it, and everything came out great. We actually got along, we made it pretty good with minimum amount of damage from the water. I think a brake valve, they had to replace 2 of the heads, or the electrical part, and that's pretty much it. So we got the plant back online pretty quick and no major impacts.
Hopefully they're going to learn how to take things apart.
But you know, one thing about Smithco is they stepped up to the plate and they really didn't give us any hassle or anything. They took care of it. So I was pretty impressed with their efforts. So, any other questions?
Okay, the next one is the restoration of existing sewer lines and manholes. That's Karen.
I can get that one, Counselor. We did have a project update last week with them, not an update, but a project meeting with them last week. They have not, I didn't get the updated numbers up to last week of lines lined. The number they did give us was right at 39,000 linear feet lined and 40 manholes done. They are proceeding with the coating of the manholes and the point repairs. Michael Chavez just finished 2 point repairs on Malone at the very first of the project. So like I said, they're moving along pretty good and they seem to be on track for their finish date. And we did get a new inspector from Moles and Corbin. JD Padilla went back to Cruces, so they sent us another inspector. And he seems I guess we've all known him for a long time. He went to school with us and stuff, so, for the water schools, so he's a pretty knowledgeable guy.
All right, Sam, the Town and Country Water and Sewer.
Thank you. They requested a to proceed date of June 21st. And have you all followed up with that as far as getting that signed, Adam?
No, ma'am, I think Marty was actually following up with them on that.
Oh, okay.
Marty Howell.
I don't have any additional information. Do you or Karen?
All right, thanks. Closeouts. That's good. Country Club Tank.
Okay, I'm glad to see this project completed and off my plate. It was an interesting project. Learned a lot of good information and a lot of things that, could do differently in the future. But in the last council meeting, I did a small slideshow of the process of building the tank from the start to the finish. And I think it was kind of helpful for everybody because they probably didn't know all what went into building this thing. And it was a lot of effort on everybody's part. It was the construction of a 500,000 gallon storage tank. It was bolted glass lined tank. And the completion date was 10/16/2020. The final cost was $1,233,835.94. Did come in on time. It was almost went into the fourth quarter, but it finished on the last day. So we made it, and I was kind of glad that we weren't late and everything was done on time. So it was a total of 285 days for the actual project. We had a variance of 45 days, which 30 days was a delay due to the COVID and the plant overseas being shut down. So that put us off 30 days. And so other than that, that was only some of the hiccups. But management effectiveness, I think what really helped us out on this was holding the meetings once a week as opposed to like once every 2 weeks. I think what it did is it really helped us with the communication. And then if we had problems, we were able to meet on site, and we held them on site anyways. And so that kind of helped out a lot, and we were able to tackle the problems fairly quick. I think the biggest thing is the communication. It really helped out. And if we had to make changes, we did them pretty quick. And the engineer, Mosen and Corbin, did a great job on the submittals, turning them around pretty quick, and the RFIs. So that really helped out quite a bit. And then when we had the major issue with the leaking of the tank, I think part of it that really helped out is not freaking out, taking it, step by step and, thinking it through. And then that's where good communication came in also, because we all got together and coordinated our efforts and I think the biggest thing is, having some patience and solving the problem. And then the other thing is some of the other challenges we had to come across was let me see, the leaks, and then the COVID was a big part of it also. But we worked through it, and And I think overall, the project was a pretty big success because it's all based on the final product. Even though we had a lot of small issues and things to overcome, we came out with a good product. And, you know, we did have that one change order, or two change orders. One was for 73,000, and then the other one was a money that we got back. So other than that,
If we could tighten up on that first one.
yeah. I mean, that was a big learning experience, and
That shouldn't have happened.
I know it. I think the timing, you know, because Jerry Paz was out of the country at that time. I think he was in Spain. So the timing wasn't real good, but the bottom line is we did get it sold, and we do have a good product, and we're keeping an eye on it. We were up there Friday, and everything's looking good. So, some of the lessons learned is sometimes when you sit in on design meetings, you don't capture everything, and I don't know why, but I mean, I thought we did a pretty good job with looking at all of the items and making the corrections, but when you get out in the field and you start building it, things change, and you always find something that, dang, we got to put a valve here because it's not going to work right. So I think in the next one, I'm going to put a little more effort and maybe, you know, try to capture everything that we can, because I know that could result in change orders. So the other thing was with the borings. We're definitely going to include probably 25% more borings on the next projects, because I think only having two, it didn't really give us a great picture of it. So that's where a lot of the problem with change order number one came in,
I don't
because
think they're really in the right place.
nope. So I think we're gonna have to put more effort into the borings. And then, let me see, I definitely know that will help. Now, the other issue we had was, when the contractor in the beginning, they put all their subs, but they swapped a couple subs and we didn't even know it. So there was some issues there. So I think in the pre-construction meetings, you know, we're going to make sure, put a lot of emphasis that, you know, the subs that you list, got to make sure that they are the ones. And then if something changes, you know, let us know. So there was a little mix up on that. And the only other problem we had at the end is we were trying to close it out, and I think Tim helped us on calling Jerry, but I know everybody's so busy, and, you know, it's not the biggest project. He has other big ones, but, you know, we finally got all the documentation in, and you know, maybe in the meetings, construction meetings, that we can put a little more focus on that, you know, in the beginning as opposed to the end.
If you can't do them, don't bid on them.
Yep. And then the last thing is we're just going to keep an eye and, you know, monitor the tank and make sure that, you know, we keep a real close eye on it before it expires, or before the warranty expires, I should have said. And before it expires, we're going to do a real good inspection on it and check everything. So other than that, I think that covered it.
Good. You got one off the list.
TG.
All right, the Alto 2 well improvements.
So for the A2 well, the closeout process is going to include all three of those wells that are listed here. But we did finally get the NMED construction completion certification, and so we were able to pump that well into our system finally. And then on the first day when we fired it up, we had a leak in the vault, and so we had to go through a warranty claim but Cherokee Enterprises has already fixed it. They fixed it within less than a week. And so the well has been running since, I think it was Thursday, Randy, if I'm right, with no issues. So we appreciate their quick support for that warranty issue, although it is unfortunate that we found that leak within 30 minutes of firing it up. For the apple orchard in Middle Gavelin, we finally got the proof of completion of well documents from the Office of the State Engineer back to us. So that was our last component to put into the NMAD packet to send to NMAD for that construction completion. So once they receive that packet, it can take anywhere from 30 to 60 days, but we're hoping, they've been pretty quick at responding at it. So we should hopefully have that kind of before the, hopefully before the 4th of July would be a ideal target. And so, because it's been taking so long with the process with the state, Casey Cook is changing our process with the Brown and Fault well. And so the items where we have to submit something to the Office of the State Engineer and then wait for them to get back to us before we can submit it to NMED, we're going to have the contractor provide all of that stuff so that we can get it while the rest of the project is being constructed, and we'll be able to get the NMED clearance sooner. So once we get that final approval from NMED, that's when I'll submit this report for closeout.
Good. All right, does anybody have anything else?
I think so.
Well, Karen's got June 7th for our next meeting.
Just, we'll let everyone know for the next meeting if we may have to do a resolution amending the Open Meetings Act resolution to new location, so we'll send out that information out.
You think they'll have you guys back in offices and have us a place by then?
More than likely over at Horton, that's what we're looking at.
Not till September.
Yep. So,
So we have something going on in here?
Yeah, we're looking at moving over the Horton. Yeah, we have all kinds of different events starting to come in,
Well, that's good.
cattle growers and whatnot.
Yeah. We'll have to make Jeffrey work harder moving everything now. So. All right, if that's everything, I guess we're adjourned. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, guys.
So I got Eric and those guys all riled up.